On December 7th, 2015, Greg Popovich entered a chilly Philly night without Kawhi Leonard and Tim Duncan. Coach Pop, notoriously known for not caring about excuses, threw Matt Bonner into the starting lineup against the Sixers. The Spurs won by 51 points, perhaps proving once and for all that the Red Mamba deserved more of Tim Duncan's minutes. Just kidding, Pop, you know we didn't mean that. The far more interesting part of this game was that both teams won, including the city that took a half a Chamberlain beating. It dropped the Sixers to a near-perfect 1-21 record in the eyes of then GM Sam Hinkie. Their one win in 2 months was beating Kobe in his last game in Philly. God, what assholes. Their entire goal was to lose games, and a lot of them. The same reason the Warriors reached 73 wins, Hinkie was chasing 73 L's. Why? To plummet in the standings and simultaneously skyrocket in the draft. And it paid off. In the 2016 NBA draft, the Sixers won the top pick after losing 72 games. They trusted this process for 4 straight years, earning a top 3 pick each time and giving Philly multiple chances at a superstar. Teams took note, and in later years, the race to the bottom got so out of hand that key players were told to stay home, analytics were used to get worse, and Mark Cuban flat out told his team to lose. Adam Silver had seen enough, and he was forced to change NBA draft rules forever. This is a ClutchPoints original on the year NBA teams took tanking too far and actually got in trouble for it. Back then, the 3 teams with the worst records had these odds at the number 1 pick. That's pretty good incentive to lose, right? But the following season, these odds were changed forever. New rules gave the bottom 3 teams all the same chance at that coveted top pick, 14%. The drastic decrease was meant to discourage the race to the bottom. So in 2017-18, with top talents like DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young within reach, teams were lining up to lose games. A potential franchise cornerstone was on the line. Commissioner Adam Silver, though, wanted to maintain the competitive nature and watchability of the league. While tanking mostly went unspoken, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban made it very clear in late February. "I'm probably not supposed to say this," Cuban said on Julius Erving's podcast, "but I just had dinner with a bunch of our guys the other night, and here we are, we weren't competing for the playoffs. I was like, losing is our best option." Despite having aging superstar Dirk Nowitzki, the Mavs were 18-40 at the time. They owned the 3rd worst record in the league, and there was a logjam of 7 other teams with fewer than 20 wins over halfway through the season. Immediately, Silver intervened. He slapped Cuban with a massive $600,000 fine, the largest in his time as an owner, pennies to his $3.4 billion net worth in 2017. Silver sent a stern letter to all teams that made clear there would be a swift and harsh punishment for tanking. As tanking continued to be rampant that season, NBA executives listed out 2 types of tanking, active and passive. Passive tanking involves putting healthy veteran players on the inactive list, or just not playing them. There was a stretch in February 2018 where the Chicago Bulls sat out center Robin Lopez and forward Justin Holiday game after game, replacing them with younger, less polished players. The Mavericks also had a tendency to rest their key players for stretches at a time. In one tight game against the Lakers, in the final 5 minutes, the Mavs trotted out a lineup of 3 undrafted players on minimum contracts, a rookie point guard, and a player making his Mavs debut. They chose to sit Dirk Nowitzki, Harrison Barnes, JJ Barea, Wesley Matthews, and Dwight Powell, key players who had a combined 85 points in the game 43 minutes in. All were on the bench, and the Mavs were rewarded with another loss. The Grizzlies, who were in full tank mode, once benched both Marc Gasol and Tyreke Evans for a game in March in favor of playing their younger guys. They lost that night and also lost an astounding 19 games in a row from January to March. Passive tanking can also come in the form of taking your time returning star players from injury. For the Bulls, Zach LaVine believed he was ready to return from his torn ACL a month before Chicago actually put him back in the lineup. Even stranger was the Bulls keeping a healthy player out of the game.
What?
In one game that season, the Bulls were heading to Sacramento. Promising rookie Lauri Markkanen had his flight canceled. But even though other flights were available, the Bulls told their rising star to just stay home. The Bulls lost that game, and the Kings, who were also in a race to the top of the draft, were forced to add another win to their name. Active tanking gets a little trickier. One NBA executive revealed to ESPN the likely use of reverse analytics. Analytics had become the new trend, as all kinds of data and numbers were studied to find the maximum value on players and lineups. The concept of reverse analytics was when teams looked into the data to see which lineups would be the least effective on the court. This form of tanking is difficult to fully prove, but a strategy that was noticeable as the 2017-18 season wound down. When the dust settled, 9 teams finished the year with fewer than 30 wins. At the end of the day, tanking yielded results as the bottom 7 teams ended up with an exciting young player to build around. The next season, 5 teams finished with fewer than 30 wins, in contrast to 9 the year before. The disciplinary letter from Adam Silver and the $600,000 fine on Mark Cuban set a precedent, but the new draft lottery rules set a trend. In 2019, the top pick in the draft, the prized Zion Williamson, went to the New Orleans Pelicans, who were tied for the 7th worst record in the league with just a 6% chance to win the lottery. Adam Silver hopes that the rule change, along with the league's stringent policy on tanking, will motivate teams to field competitive rosters and fight until the very end in the future, keeping fans and teams tuned into the league.